Good evening, everyone. My name is Abhilash, and together with Rakshit Bhagwat, who is also part of this meeting and the co-host who will manage some of the interactions, we run a company called Gentle Bamboo Solutions, and we focus our energies pretty much entirely on L&D training for corporate companies. I happen to come from a software development background, because of which I was able to kind of build a tool which I am also going to use today for the training session. And what happened in the past 8 odd months, everybody knows the L&D industry kind of went through a bit of a turmoil. We were used to being the center of attention, so to speak, when we were doing classroom sessions, because primarily I am standing here pointing towards a classroom and everybody else is facing me, which basically means I know that people will listen to me. Now suddenly you look at your screen, I am sitting, I don't know, in some corner. My block is sitting in some corner. So we don't know who the trainer is, where is the segregation between where the participant ends and where the trainer begins. That is a little complex now, right? I am wearing a camouflage t-shirt at this moment. Many of you are better dressed than I am, because at this point I am not entirely sure that will dressing up help or not, right? Because I used to go in a proper white shirt, tie and suit to attend a training session. Those days are done now, and I do many corporate sessions in t-shirts, believe it or not, and it has not affected one bit my reputation, so to speak, as a trainer. So we have been because of the tool that I built, like I told you, what has happened is that I have been interacting very closely with lots and lots of trainers, and I've been asking them this one thing: what have you done to reinvent yourself? What have you done, because you are no longer at the center of the universe of this training session? Is there something you're doing which is kind of putting you back there, putting you back in control, right? And the knowledge I have collected basically out of all of this, I am calling this by the cheesiest title I could imagine, and I'm calling it charisma ka karishma. There is a word called charisma, which I want to talk about today. And how does that make you uniquely yourself? I'm going to share my screen now, and I am going to talk about this part. Hang on, I think, can you all see this screen?
Yes.
We were able to see it for a second, now not. You may have to reshare it.
Okay. Can you see the screen again?
This is good.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is what I'm going to talk about. Observe how the image here is one of Snowflake, because Snowflake is literally unique, and there is no other Snowflake quite like that. I am not going to be looking at the chat, but I will give you opportunities to interact frequently, so feel free to do so. What I want to do is that I am not running this session, first of all, on a PowerPoint or any other presentation tool. I'm using a tool that I have built by myself, and that tool is called Dexter, right? I want you to pick up your phone. If you have logged in using your phone, consider logging in using your laptop. If you are already on your laptop and you have a phone or a second screen handy, get on that so that you'll be able to actually participate in this, right? I want you to go to your browser and type in this. Okay, what I'll also do is in the WhatsApp group, I'm going to send a link. You can click on that and you'll get straight on this. Observe how the spelling is Dexter with a single E, guest.dexter.io. Type that, you will see a screen that looks like this, and in there, where it says enter the code, in this box you enter this code, 391319. I hope that makes sense. Once you're there, what will happen is that you will see there is a heart icon there, and you hit that heart icon and I'll know that you're there. Can you do that, please? Everybody get on. I am seeing that we have about 21 participants. The moment I see all 21 of you are here, I see that 5 of you are already there. I repeat the URL once more. It is guest.dexter with a single E, DEXTR.io. You can see that right on the top here.
It's open.
Go here,
Then
enter the code.
Yeah, I entered the code. Then after?
There you should see it says get ready to participate.
Yes.
If you see that, under it going to be a gray heart icon. Touch that, it will become red and we are
Red,
good to
yes.
go. If it is red, it's good to go. If you see at the bottom here, in the bottom right corner of my Zoom screen, you should be seeing it says number 8 now. Okay.
See,
Rakshit,
I cannot see after the heart anything. I press the heart.
you
Then
don't have to see anything. If you have hit the heart, it has become red. We are good to go, Deepika.
Yeah, it's red. Then after
That's
then
it.
red.
Hang on
Okay,
for 1
that's-
second. Hang on for 1 second. I'll go to the next slide. Okay. In the bottom of my screen, on my laptop screen, you should be seeing that it says heart and number 9. I'm waiting for few more of you to hit that heart icon so that I know you're there and we can get to it. Rakshit, could you also type this in the chat box, the URL and the code 391319? Okay, so this is going to be a very participative session, which means that you all have to get on your phone and get to this. And we will immediately start as soon as I see a few more numbers on the heart icon. I'm going to wait for 15 more seconds just so we are all here and then we'll move on. I've got about 21 participants, including me and Rakshit. So let's get there. And throughout the session on
Just
the
a
top
second,
right
I'm also
corner,
doing. Just a second, okay?
no problem, no problem. The code and the URL is going to be on the top right corner as well. Guest.dexter.io and 391319 is going to be on the top of the screen. Okay. I'll wait for a few more minutes, a few more seconds. The point is that the session is going to be much more meaningful if we are all on here and interacting. Therefore, this little bit of time invested is good as well. And further on, as we go into the session, if you see something that you like on a certain slide, consider hitting that heart icon again. That's once again a message to me that you're still there and you're participating. I've got 14 not likes, heart icons, and I think I can move on. Many of you should be there. If not, say something in chat and Rakshit will be able to help you. Cool, perfect. Let's get started then. Okay. On your phone now, if you're on this browser and you're there, it should be asking you a question. What is your professional title? Is it trainer or facilitator? Is it corporate L&D executive, or is it something else? So whatever it is, you hit that thing and I want to see. I'm seeing quite a lot of you are answering already, and I can see your responses on my screen. One of you say corporate L&D executive. I've got 13 responses. Can I wait for a little longer for you to quickly respond as well? Cool. 14 responses. Faster, faster, faster. It's just one button. Just hit that button and we are done. Cool. So this is a split between half and half. The people who have answered other, could you unmute and answer in one word only what is your professional title so that I can customize this session a bit for you as well?
I'm an
Everybody who
engineer,
has said
so,
other.
I'm Anand. I'm an engineer and web developer.
Perfect. Who else?
I'm
Has said
Dr.
other?
Archana. Hello.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Archana. I'm assistant professor at Hitham's College.
Perfect. So you are a kind of a educator and trainer, right?
Yes.
That's fine. Cool.
Hi,
Anybody
I'm
else?
Dr. Yes, I'm here. I'm Dr. Ashu, and
Uh-huh.
I am a professor of English and communication skills, and I conduct certain trainings as well.
Perfect. So you still qualify in the first category only.
Not, I mean, what I feel like, because I've got an experience of 20 years teaching and mentoring, so I consider myself a teacher first and then a trainer.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, let me. I
Thank
should have made it
you.
clearer. I should have said trainer or educator, just to be clear. But that's what I'm looking for. If you are into training, if you're into teaching, if you're into education, and you have learners who learn from you, that's all I'm talking about.
Great. So
Okay.
I'm associated with the first category.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. All right.
Thank you.
Moving on then. Okay. Let's try and define this word charisma. Okay. Charisma is a compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion in others. You all remember, you go back to your school days, right? You can remember that one or two teachers who stood out from the crowd. If you have finished your education and you've spent about 10, 12 years in school and maybe 4 more years in college, think back of all the teachers who have been a part of your education. Most likely 3, 4 people stand out. And what I want to talk about is about those people. Why did they stand out? What they had was what I want to define as charisma. I remember my English teacher from 5th standard onwards. I still call him once in a while. I remember my engineering graphics teacher when I'm doing my mechanical engineering. It's been 15 years. I still constantly call him every once in a while, wish him happy birthday. Why did that happen? Was that he has left a sense of devotion in me, that he taught me something that was so valuable, so life-changing, was that I became his fan. To some extent, the charisma that I am talking about is that you want to exude that charisma. And how do we go about that? Is that there is a certain art to it, obviously. There is a bit of a science to it. And there is that in-between thing that we'll try and figure out today. Okay? I want to talk about why charisma is important is because you won't stand out from the crowd. Like that teacher, or like one of the training sessions you might have attended, there will be somebody who stands out from that crowd. Imagine if you are that person, if you stand out from a crowd of trainers or teachers who have been part of education for a bunch of learners, what will happen is that you become memorable. And when you become memorable is when you'll be called back frequently. If you are the kind of trainer or teacher who did not leave a big mark on their learner, learners do give feedback. Learners talk about you. And if they are not raving about you, if they are not going to talk about you in such great emotion, right? You will not be called back frequently. If you are called back frequently, however, you thrive at your business. This, I think, is the straight connection between why it is important to be charismatic, because it makes business sense. That's why charisma is important. Let me tell you something about myself. I'm not trying to show off here. I just want you to make a note of this as a third-party observer of stuff that I'm going to share with you now, and make a list for yourself. Okay? I am a huge fan of Urdu ghazals. I have hundreds of books on Urdu ghazals lying around in my home. There is not a single day that goes by that I'm not reading something written by some great poet. What that has done is that I have a decent amount of memory. I remember, shares, as they're called, from ghazals, and I frequently quote them at every occasion that I find. And what that does is that it instantly sends a message of, being an erudite person. I'm not that, but it does send that message. Urdu has that effect on people. There's a research that says in Parliament, 93% of all poetry quoted in the last 70 years has been taken straight from Urdu ghazals. That's a huge statistic. I actually happen to love it. I don't even have to fake it, right? So every occasion I get, I do quote about it in serious occasions. There is an Urdu share for every occasion that you can imagine. And what that does for me is that it allows me to stand out a bit, because not many people are doing this in serious training sessions. One, I'm a bit of a runner, not very good at it, but I run enough. And what that does is that running is a subculture in itself, right? And all sorts of running advice is available. That's a whole world of itself. What that does to me is that when I am talking about this and that, I have the opportunity to now, bring in references from running, because running is such an important part of, there's that goal, you have to prepare for it. So it gives me great stories to talk about. I'm a magician. I'm a trained magician. If I was not a trainer, I would be a professional magician. That's what I tell myself, right? I have done enough magic in my life, so to speak, professionally. I have earned money out of it. I enjoy doing it. What that does is, once again, like running, like Urdu poetry, magic is a subculture of itself. Once again, trust me when I say I'm not trying to talk about myself. I'm not trying to show off. What I want you to do is imagine what you know, what you enjoy, and how can you somehow bring that into the time when you are providing education for somebody else, right? I love mythology, science fiction, fantasy, D&D, all sorts of stuff. I bring everything that I love, I bring a part of that into my training session. This combination of a person who happens to be a magician, runner, Urdu ghazal teller, mythology fan, science fiction fanatic, fantasy fan, there are not too many people like this. That is what makes me unique. You have that for yourself. You are a bunch of your interests, your hobbies, and all of that. Bring them all together, and the personality that you create is going to stand out and is going to create a memorable impact on the people. That's the first question, first point of this session. Why this information was important was that you need to start collecting this about yourself. What have you enjoyed? What did you want to be, for example, growing up? If you are not a teacher, if you're not an educator, what is your alternate profession possibility? Tomorrow, if all trainings are completely cancelled, how are you going to make a living? You have some skill that will help you make a living out of. And what that does to you is that it gives you that, what can I bring from there into this, right? We have a couple of people here in this session itself who are, Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters gives you a lot of stuff to talk about yourself. And what that does is that you bring those experiences into your sessions. So the first and the most important thing is that find out what makes you unique, what combination of skills, experiences, and expertise has made you what you are. And rather than covertly keeping it to yourself, make a big list of it and see at the intersection of all these skills, there is something. And that something is what is going to make you memorable. That's the first thing. So let's take a look at this. Okay, let's take a look at what do we have in the room today. Look at your phone. It's going to ask you a question. What skills, hobbies do you have besides your professional title? Answer that in on your phone, and that thing will appear on the screen, and we will start to see what kind of wide variety of people we have here. Don't restrict yourself to one hobby. If you have multiple hobbies, talk about that. And don't talk about only consumptive hobbies like I like to watch movies or I like to read books. Talk about creative hobbies also. Gym, weightlifting, somebody says, brilliant. So I'm talking about creative hobbies in the sense of what can you create? Are you a great chef? That whole world of cooking and cuisines is a subculture in itself. What can you bring from there into the world of facilitation and training? Add that. I'm going to add mine once again, magic and mentalism, I say, and I submit. Somebody says deep listening. That's quite brilliant. What can you use this for? I'm looking for more responses. You can do that from your phone. So look at your phone and response. Don't type in chat because I'm not seeing chat right now. I want to, and I like this answer so much that I can actually give you a, achievement called great answer. Somebody says Mehendi. See now, Mehendi, my sister happens to be a great Mehendi artist herself. And what I have seen is that her art, not just Mehendi art, in general, her artistic tendencies became much better because of the amount of effort she was putting into it. Cooking, using it presently to sustain and yes, connect with training because everybody loves to eat. Exercise, as again, everybody is able to relate. I can only relate to exercise in the sense that I don't exercise, but yeah, I hear your point. Translation from English to other language can speak interest in literature, writer, singer without music. I'm a great solo walker, 5,000 kilometer walk. See now, I don't know who you are, because I can't see your name, but I have an instant connect with you, my friend, because I am a bit of a solo walker as well. And I continuously take up these 100-kilometer challenges. There isn't a month that I do not walk at least 500 kilometers. So my point is that walking is, if you start thinking about it, there is so much to learn from walking, right? That journey, the times when you're doing a 100-kilometer walk, for example, at kilometer 90, it feels like you're about to die and you cannot lift 1 foot up. How do you then push yourself to go further and do 100-kilometer, a 10-kilometer more, right? And then what happens is that you bring those stories into your classroom. You bring those stories into your training sessions. And when you're talking to your learners and students, what happens is that nobody has told them those stories, because everybody, and I swear everybody, is searching on Google, give me some motivational story that I can use in my training session. They use that. They use stories that they learn on WhatsApp. That's not us. We are different because we are bringing in our experience. Just before the session started, somebody was talking about how, you can't charge money for being a professional trainer and give them the same experience that they would have got from a YouTube video, right? You want to bring something of yourself. Somebody says being a theater artist and performed in stand-up open mics. See, use that information. Make strangers smile. I love this so much. This is such an important thing to do. So my point is this: you know what you like, make a list of that, like I did, talk about it, make a 5-minute video of what can you learn from animal activism, for example, and bring that into your training session, right? I used to be not an entirely an animal activist, but I do contribute in charity to a place called Kupa in Bangalore that takes care of stray dogs and such. They are a veterinary organization of sorts. So I frequent that place a lot. A friend of mine is a veterinarian in that Kupa hospital, and I know the work that they do. I also happen to know animal activism. There is a bit of a controversy that goes around what PETA does, right? Those are stories for you, right? Don't let your hobbies go waste by just being hobbies. Bring them into your profession and get the best out of it. That is the one point I wanted to make. Let's get to the second part. Now that we are talking about stories, let's talk about how many stories we can all come up with because of everything that we are and everything that we do. We all have a lot of stories. We don't explore them enough, but we have a lot of stories. What we like to do by ourselves gives us a bunch of stories. What is it that we enjoy doing? What do we do with our family and friends? That gives us a bunch of stories as well. And finally, what we do at our profession, that gives us a lot of stories. Okay, let me talk about myself, obviously, because I can't talk about myself, but this is about you trying to figure out how you can generate a bunch of stories for yourself that you can use. Once again, I'm not talking about stories that you can find online. I'm talking about stories that you have experienced and lived. I watch lots of Netflix and YouTube when I'm by myself, which tells me that what is popular on Netflix right now? What is the popular culture on YouTube? What is BTS? What is their new album? What new record did that create? I happen to know the popular culture references. And when I'm doing training sessions for, let us say, slightly younger folk, I know what I'm going to talk about. When I'm doing training session for slightly elder folk, I know what I'm going to talk about because of how tuned in I am into the popular culture. Many of you are too. Many of us watch a lot of Netflix or YouTube or Hotstar or Amazon Prime or whatever. So we know what is happening. You need to start slipping in those popular culture references into your training to break ice. Break icebreaker games on YouTube. That's not how you do it. The way you do it is you bring your personality into it. And the way you bring your personality into it is knowing what is happening in the world and slipping that into the argument or the discussion. When you're training somebody on something, if you say something like, that reminds me of the Pablo Escobar story about how when he was feeling very cold, they burnt a bunch of cash. That's how rich they were. Or the cost of rubber band to tie the amount of money Pablo Escobar's gang was making went into $10,000 a month at one point. That is how much money they were making from the drug sale. Now, what happens is that a bunch of people, even today, if in the 20 odd people, I'm sure there are some people who have watched the series on Pablo Escobar on Netflix. For people who have not seen it, there's no big difference. But for people who have, you become memorable because you and I now share a common interest. And that's how you do it, by using stories you know based on what you like to do by yourself. The second thing is that I happen to be a father to a 5-year-old son and a son to a 65-year-old father, and I am trapped with both of them for the past 8 months. I have never spent this much time stuck in a home with anyone. I have not spent this much time with my family in the past 30 years of my existence. Forget about the time that I've spent in the 6 months. My 5-year-old son is very, very demanding. Even more demanding is my 65-year-old father. In taking care of them to some extent, I have got so many stories I can talk about. When I talk about the story of kids growing up in a session, if I was to do that today, many of you would have kids or would have had kids 5-year-old at some point, and you will instantly relate with me. That's the stories we tell. The stories that are unique to us are not that unique because there's a shared experience, and part of that charisma is that I have worked at software companies, I have worked in manufacturing companies, I have worked in call centers, I have worked in startups, I have worked in NGOs. I used to be the trustee in art education NGO. I have been running a software company of my own for the past 10 years. So basically, I have a bunch of experience, and in every stage of my work experience, I have experiences that are unique to me. When I was in call center, the number of discussions I used to have with say Chinese clients, right, who would want to talk in English, but they were not that great with it. We would start the discussion midway, we would stop the discussion, bring in a translator. The Chinese client is second guessing what I'm saying in English. It used to be hilarious for both me, the translator, as well as the client himself or herself. So what that does is it gives me amazing stories that nobody else has lived. And then that work that I have done, that gives me stories. So this, if you're trying to find the connection between stories and charisma, there is a one-to-one relationship. The better stories you have, the more stories you share with people, which are uniquely yours, that people would never have heard in your absence. They cannot read about these stories online. They cannot get them on WhatsApp. There are no videos, no movies made out of it. You become memorable purely for that story, because that's how good your personal experiences are, and you're not exploring that enough. So this is the three things: the stuff that you do by yourself, the stuff that you learn because of your family, and the stuff that you do because of your work. These are stories. And what I do is that I'm writing an L&D book, for example, and I am building a bunch of my stories. What is the moral of that story? What debrief questions I get? I've obviously hidden some of this information now. What debrief questions do I have? What kind of leading questions can I ask during this, right? I tell a story of the great Indian rope trick, this 109, this pillar story. I'll tell you that story now, by the way. So my point is, start that Excel for yourself. Start collecting stories that have happened to you, that have left a great mark on you. I swear those stories will be useful for your audience as well, and they will make a point. Okay? Let me tell you my favorite story. After that, I'll ask you yours. I have grown up in a small town called Gulbarga. This is in north of Karnataka, right? And there used to be an abandoned temple there. And there's a story about it that I am 99% sure none of you have heard. If you are from Gulbarga, if you've heard that story, nothing like it. We should bond totally. But if you have not, the story goes like this. There are 108 pillars in that temple. It's ruins now. It's no longer a temple that where you worship and all of that. But there are 108 pillars that hold the temple up. The story goes like this, that whichever architect, ghost built that temple laid a curse on it, that when you start counting the pillars, you never count 108, you always count either 107 or 109. It is impossible to get actual 108. Now, this is a funny story, right? And growing up, I used to hear this a lot. And then there is another story that goes about it, that one school expedition decided to test this theory. And the theory testing was like this. They said, okay, let's do this thing where we take 108 students exactly to the excursion, to that temple. Everybody goes and hugs or stands in front of one pillar, right? And they will be given a number that they wear on their chest. And then after that, they come and see there aren't 108, and somebody has to just go and check all pillars have been covered or not. Perfect plan. The school excursion goes there. All the students get there, 108, perfect count. And then they bring back all the students and do a roll call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so on, up to 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107. The 108th student has disappeared, never to be found again. And the mystery of that 108th missing student remains forever. Now, here's the thing. Most likely, this story is BS. But the story made such an impact on the 8-year-old Abhilash's mind, that story has remained with me. And you know, when I tell this story, whenever I'm talking about the importance of stories that make a deep impact on us as we grow up are the stories that make impact on others when you tell them with the kind of passion that you only you have for that story. Right? You go and tell the story to somebody else, it's not going to have as much impact because you have not lived that life. You're not lived in that fear, like, oh my God, I'm not going there to that temple ever. It's so haunted, right? And that passion will show when you tell your stories. It will not show when you're telling somebody else's stories. And that is the story example. Let's get to you now. In 3 lines, I want you to type in your favorite story. You can type up to 250 characters. That means look at your phone. I am going to go silent for a while. If one of you want to unmute and talk about your story while others are typing, please go ahead. But I want to hear, how many now? 23 stories from you. What is your favorite story that has happened to you? Not a story that you have read somewhere. If you have read that story yourself, I also probably know that story. I don't want to hear that. Your personal story that has happened to you, that you have heard, that you're reasonably sure nobody else has. Summarize that in 3 lines and let's have that. And if any one of you want to unmute and speak up, now is the time.
Sure, Abhilash. Like, you know what? The other day in the evening, I was in my terrace and I was seeing the bats flying around back to their home in the night, right? And when they were flying back, there was this little small bats in the sky as well, right? And as they were flying, they were stopping to flap and they were getting down. And the ones who were flapping the wings were consistent, right? Many a times when we reach at the top in our life, right, we feel like I got here because I had the skill, I had the potential, but you know, I'm handsome and this and all that, you know, wrong stuff. Right? But the truth is you got up because you were flapping the wings. The day you stop flapping the wings, you get down.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? I hope the rest of you are typing.
Well, I typed already, but I want to express. Most of the people know about my journey because जो लोग मेरे से connected है, they all know my journey. So my first breakthrough is bungee jumping. Second breakthrough is Himalaya solo journey, and third breakthrough is spiritual touch is Kedarnath Badrinath Yatra.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure in that journey you have built up so many experiences that will help, right?
Yeah, actually, whatever I am, just because of ये one to end वाला ये जो major experiences हैं, यही है वो सारे. मतलब मैं बताऊं तो शायद साल भर का खेल था ये सारा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का.
Yeah. No, this is very nice to.
अभी कुछ मिलता गया उसके बाद I am not satisfied. I was hungry. Like now what next? Now what next? Now what next?
Yeah, not true. And this is what happened to me after I did my first marathon also. I thought marathon race is going to be a, tick on my bucket list and I'll stop it, that I have achieved it. I realized that was only the beginning. And this hunger never goes away.
Yes, bungee jumping was my beginning and still I'm walking on my path after the bungee. Still I'm.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for sharing. Thank you so much. Car door locked while engine is on and I can't get in. This has happened to me in front of my home, but on Mecca highway, that is wow. That is a story I would want to listen to someday. This is absolutely I mean these are stories which are terrible when they are happening, but once they have happened and you have lived past that and you go nostalgic about them, there is so much learning you have from that. I went solo travel for 3 months to seek peace and my purpose because I did not work the way I wanted, but just a big thing I did, like an achievement. Yeah. So in that time, the stories that you heard of people, right? That is the stories you want to tell in your sessions. Stuck in home in earthquake, door closed from outside, threw books and stuffed myself in study table. Wow, no, this is wow, scary. Fail in 10th by teachers, now give training to teachers how to teach. That is one beautiful story. So again, I'll tell you one more story from my life. I had a friend from Nagaland, right? And there's only one story, so pardon me if I am stereotyping something here. I'm not trying to paint an entire state by one story, but I remember one of the funniest thing that happened to me was that this kid who grew up in Nagaland in the tribal areas and lived that tribal life, such stories he had to share with me, right? Everywhere else in that I know, in my limited experience that I know, when somebody shouts there is a snake, you run away, right? And this kid used to tell me, when somebody shouted there is a snake, we all ran towards it because we eat snakes, right? And that changed my mind in a weird way, because imagine your 8-year-old kid is being taught how to catch a snake safely, and then whatever. So the point is, the story changed my entire mindset around how people treat different things, right? They are taught which is a poisonous snake, which is not, which one to catch, how do you catch that, when you do catch it, how do you slaughter it for consumption, right? You may not like it, I don't like it myself, but that gives me something of a story. Whenever I talk about snakes, right, I can't imagine not telling that story. And this is a story I could not have read anywhere else. I had to have heard it from the person. Experience the serial Coimbatore bomb blast in 90s taught me value of life. This is very nice. Are some more people typing? Should I move to the next slide, or am I waiting for some more people to finish typing? You can unmute and speak as well.
Yes. So this is Ramesh.
Hi, Ramesh.
This is one of very curious story about myself. When I went for Padayatra for 3 months, solo walk, and when I went for the Suragarohini Yatra, it is from Badrinath to above 15,000 feet, and so one night when I just be there, and because of tent doesn't work, there is no tent, just we slept in the lap of ice, and just closed my eyes and thought that this is my last night, and tomorrow I will not wake up. And that's the end. I saw my death in front of me, and
Right.
fortunately in the morning I got up. So
Wow.
that's the story I can say.
It's so amazing to listen to this. And once again, like I said, only you could have told these stories. So to summarize, and I'm seeing some really great shares as well here. During my journey of life in 86, I was a balloon seller for 2 months, was always optimistic, 3 years of similar struggle in Gulf country, landed in a good job. In 2015, took my son to the main spot where I was selling. See, now this is something, could anybody else have told this story? Only you are capable of telling this story. Why do we then bother with searching Google and YouTube for meaningless motivational stories from somewhere else? Let's use ours. I was brought up away from my parents for nearly 14 years of my life, different hostels. I reached my parents only after my MBA, then completed a PhD in management. See, these are our achievements, and we are in whatever little we have achieved in our lives. We have stories to tell. And the big point of this, for sake of time, I'm going to rush forward now. If you are typing, please finish typing, hit send, and then come to the next slide. And I will see you there on your phone. But the biggest point is that your charisma is in your stories. It's not in the Chinese bamboo story that you hear from here and there. It's not in the wool, the tortoise and the hare story. These are all good when you're hearing them. When you're telling them, tell your stories, build your charisma. Moving on, let's answer the real question now. Where does your charisma comes from? It comes from everything that you do, everything that you like, everything that you were, everything that you are now, and everything that you want to be. This is where your charisma comes from. My dreams and my desires, my insecurities, my fears, my experiences, my expertise. This is everything that is giving me a personality and a uniqueness. And unfortunately, we are so scared of exploring that side of ourselves that we tell stories which we know that work, right? We go on YouTube, which is the most motivational story, best motivational quote I can imagine. Hear that and, parrot it out in front of our people, our learners. Unfortunately, those learners are also going to the same YouTube and Google and finding those same stories. They are going to come off thinking, this guy is just taking already well-known stories that we already know and just telling it in his or her own words, right? That's not what makes you memorable. When the person who told the story of him or her being a balloon seller in a certain place, the stories you can talk about, the people who came to buy balloons, the kids that came. I know I've actually met and interviewed somebody who used to work in a Sulabh Shauchalaya. Imagine setting out a life, in life, and ending up with your career as somebody who sits outside a public toilet and collects 1 rupee and 2 rupee. The question that you ask everybody that comes in, is it number 1 or number 2? It's not funny. See how deeply that can hurt somebody's confidence, right? To be that, to sustain that, come out and build a life of his dreams. I know a person who has done that. He wanted to be something. The interactions that he had with patients, the people who came there, the stories that that person can tell you will blow your mind. You don't have to have struggled that hard in your life to come up with great stories. What you were in the past, what you are now, and what you want to be in the future, those things will give you your charisma. And explore that side of you. Don't let it go waste. Don't steal or get inspired by other people's stories. Inspire other people by your own stories. And that is my big message today. We are more or less done from this session. I just want to leave you with one insight that I have found over during this pandemic and virtual trainings. It is that when movies were being made in the early 1900s, theater or plays have been around for 5,000 years. Performing on a stage, people sitting all around and watching, that has been around forever. Movies are barely 100, 120 years old. When movies started getting made, obviously the pick was stars from theater. Theater stars were picked to make movies and they had to become movie stars. The greatest theater stars were unfortunately not able to become good movie stars because, when you're working in a theater, there's a fixed view. People are seeing you from far, far, far away. And when they're doing that, you have to exaggerate every emotion that you have. If you're laughing, you have to laugh your heart out. If you're crying, you have to bawl your heart out, right? You can't do it in a half-hearted way. Unfortunately, the movie medium that does not allow you to be that animated, because the camera is sitting right in front of your face. If you are overdoing your emotion, you will be bracketed as somebody who overacts, and you will never become successful in movies. The subtlety of expression, that is what movies is all about. So theater actors never were able to succeed in movies in the initial stages. Now obviously people understand the medium, both of the media, well enough that they behave and act in a certain way in both theater and movies. The theater actors had learned to subdue their exaggerated emotion and become subtle when they were training. Now, for you and me, when I have moved from a classroom training session to a virtual training session, we have to do the reverse journey. We have to learn to exaggerate our emotions. We have to learn to use a mic like this, for example, to ensure that there's a dog barking right next to me now. My son was banging on the door for the past 15 minutes. You heard none of it because I have invested in the kind of technology which creates immersion. I've invested in software that takes care of it. I've invested in hardware that takes care of it, right? When you do that is when you are going to create impact in the minds of your audience, because you somehow come back to becoming the center of their attention. So the lesson from theater versus movies is that when movie stars came out of theater, they had to learn to reduce their exaggerated emotions. We have to go the reverse way. And when we do virtual sessions, we have to exaggerate that emotion, exaggerate your voice, do voice modulation, move around, use lots of stuff, play videos, show great images, and basically capture the attention of your people. Let me quickly summarize that. Now that I have told you all these stories, what now? What can you do to become more charismatic? Some things you can start doing immediately, and you can take a screenshot on your phone once I'm done with this. Is one, exaggerate your emotions, be more animated, have more fun, raise your voice when you have to, lower your voice when you have to, tell jokes. Your emotions need to be exaggerated for it to make impact. Engage more senses when you're sharing screens, and like I'm hopefully doing now, you have a little bit of respite where once you're looking at the laptop, once you're looking at your phone, the phone is white, this one is dark background, you're tapping, you're touching your phone. I'm engaging more and more senses, and thereby continuously retaining your attention and focus. Stop blaming the platform. We have done that. 8 months we have done just that. Oh, the virtual platform is so boring, there is no engagement. They are done. We are all grown-ups now. This is here to stay. Virtual training is not going anywhere. Imagine what the platform has given us. I am sitting in Bangalore at my home, you're sitting God knows where, and we are able to connect with each other. That's what the platform has given. Let's stop blaming the platform. Let's start using the platform for its best impact that it can create. It has opened up the whole world for us. I can do a training session in Canada now. Imagine if I had to do a training session in Canada 6 months ago, that would have costed both me and the client so much. So let's get out of that funk. Let us see what this platform can do. Let's start using it. And when you want to be a charismatic personality, you can't blame things. You have to take it in your stride and do the best you can with what you have been given. And finally, collect your stories. Make a list of those stories. No matter how simple they might have seemed to you, no matter those are stories or experiences that you may want to forget, they are not happy experiences. Start collecting your stories. Start saying, okay, this is the story. This is the moral I can derive from it. This is the debrief questions I can do after this. This is the leading questions I can do. Or if somebody says a phrase like this is the story I can tell immediately afterwards. Right? I do that all the time. I have these 20 books of Urdu ghazal sitting in front of me right now. If I'm taking a break, I remember everything that is going to happen and everything that has happened. I peruse those books. I come up with the best, couplet or the poem that suits the occasion, and I recite that for the audience. It gives them a break. It gives them something to enjoy. So start doing this, and you will become more and more memorable. To summarize quickly, why is charisma important? To stand out from the crowd. Thereby, when you stand out from the crowd, you become memorable. If you are memorable, you'll be called back frequently. And finally, you get to thrive at your business. This is my training session. if you have 2 more minutes of your time, I would like to give you the platform now. Look at your phone and type in one line, maybe 3 words, 4 words, whatever, what your biggest takeaway from this session was. You are, I am clearly aware that we are 8 minutes away from 9 o'clock. So I'm happy to take 1 or 2 sentence long answers if you are willing to unmute and speak also. You can continue to share. Appreciate your own story, be proud of your own experiences. Thank you so much. That is the big lesson I wanted to talk about.
I have one question before typing feedback. I have one
Okay.
question. So, my first question is, see, where we have to apply our stories, because as we already designed our all the session on the worksheets and all, on the PDF and all. So where I have to fix myself in this, in the question answer round, or where I have to fix, because मेरे जो topics होते हैं वो certain होते हैं और वो वैसा ऐसा चलता है पूरा. So you just.
So क्या topic होता है एक बार बताइए मैडम. Tell me one topic that you do. Let's see if we can find something together.
See, मैं वही पूछना चाह रही हूँ कि सपोज कि हम लोग जैसे एक मेरे को क्या एडवांस में टॉपिक उनको असाइन करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि फिर उसी के ऊपर वो कंटेंट रेडी होता है एंड देन वी आर ड्राइविंग ऑन दैट विद द ऑडियंस, है ना. सो माय क्वेश्चन इज कि मैं ये स्टोरी को कहाँ पुट करूँ.
A story, see, the way I do it, I can only tell you what I do, and I've seen other successful educators do, is that the story is like baked into the experience. It's not कि अब मैं ये क्लास कर रही हूँ, ये खत्म हो गया, अब मैं स्टोरी सुनाऊंगी. Right? The story and the session have to be interspersed with each other.
Yeah, actually, you know what I experience कि मैं जैसे question answer round होता है, so I can include my experience on that.
Right.
ना? So I can well adjust over there. Second,
मैडम थोड़ा सा क्विकली रैप अप कर देते हैं सेशन देन.
हाँ यही था ऑलमोस्ट यही. बस थैंक यू. और मेरा एक वाई क्वेश्चन था बस.
We will, once I officially wrap this, I am still around for 15-20 more minutes. We'll take questions after that if you don't mind. I just want to finish this on time. Thank you. And everybody who is sharing your takeaways from this, thank you very much. I hope this was useful for you. One of the other things that I do on behalf of my company, and because I like to do, is that I send a daily email which helps training industry to become better. This is a software that I've built, for example. This is something that I do a lot. I write and share stories. I write and share tips and tricks on how to become better at facilitation. I do all of that, and I send a free email out every day, every single day. I do that. And at the end of this, I can give you a link if you want to join that email list. Many people who have been subscribed to that tell me that it is helping them. I hope it helps you also. So please feel free to join in, and I will give you a link now. I can also give you a link in the group later. But this is my session. Thank you, everybody. If you are, like I said, if you're still typing, please continue typing and send it out on your phone. And I will give you this on your phone. You should be seeing a subscribe here link. If you click that, you will go to Google form and give me your name, phone number, name, email, phone number. If you want, you can also talk about how you heard about us. I know in this case that you heard it in a WhatsApp group. So select that, give it. If you're interested to listen from me frequently, please consider joining this group. And that is it. That brings me to the end of the session. I am going to stop sharing this screen now. I'm going to come back to the room, and if you have to leave, the session is done from my side. If you want to hang around, talk a little more, ask any questions, have some discussions, I am available for the next 15 more minutes. Thank you so much, everybody. And I really appreciate your time during a late night weekend training session to come and be a part of this and participate so well. Thank you once again.